Hey everyone, it's Mari here. I've got a card making process or series of card processes here to share with you today for the Scrapbook Nerd online shop and blog. I'm going to be using some Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock for all of the stamping and die cutting that I'm going to be doing today. And I'm going to be starting out here with this Avery Elle Starry Scene stamp and die set, which I really love. It's super cute. And I'm just going to be stamping out these images here with a variety of different inks. And I have sped the process up quite a bit here just because this is a pretty long one. I think this video was over an hour. Now I'm starting off here with some Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to ink up this really large stamp that's the background for this little scene that I'm going to create. And this is like a little starry night scene. And I'm going to use 3 different colors of oxide inks here. Like I said, Peacock Feathers. I'm also going to use a little bit of Evergreen Bough. And I'm also going to use a little bit of Chipped Sapphire. So those second and third colors, I'm just going to use around the edge of the stamp, just to kind of create a little bit of a dimension around sort of like the frame of this little starry scene. So I'm just using my Lawn Fawn towel here just to clean up the sponge or the stamp. And now I'm just going to go in with that Chipped Sapphire here and just to really define the edges of that little night sky there. So I'm just going to clean that up now, and I'm going to go on to creating other parts of this scene, which include mountains and some little evergreen trees. And these are all stamps and images that come along with this set. Now I wanted to just create a little bit of water distressing here as well with this starry night scene here first. And so I just spritzed that with some water. I dabbed the water up with some paper towel, and now you can see I'm just going in with my heat tool and I'm just drying that up a bit just to speed the process up. Now I'm going to use some of the shimmer spritz as well. So I'm just going to take my piece here and put it over some paper towel. And I just really spritz that well. And that's just going to create some really pretty sparkle and shine there on that starry night scene. So I've got that all dry now. Now I'm going to go ahead and ink up my mountains and my trees. I have used some Memento Tuxedo black ink to do that, and you can see I'm using my Misty here, my most incredible stamping tool invented, because it is going to allow me to do multiple stampings there of those images and making sure that they're in the right spot each time. Now I'm just going to take my Copic markers here and do some really simple coloring, and I'm not going to show you all of this here just because you might not have Copic markers. You might be using your pencil crayons or whatever you use in your crafty space to color your different images when you're making cards. I'm also going to be using these really sweet and adorable little images from My Favorite Things, and this stamp set is called Dashing Deer, and I'm going to color those little images as well with my Copic markers. So I also inked those up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. Now I'm going to start to place my images down. I'm just going to stick them down here. And I'm just using some repositionable adhesive for those base pieces. And then the pieces that are on the top, these little critters, I'm using some little adhesive dots, some dimensional adhesive dots, which you can get over at the Scrapbook Nerd Shop. And I'm just using those to create some dimension with the images and the little die cuts that are most closest to the top of this little scene. So you can see how this is really creating just a really sweet little scene here for my card. And I'm just going to go in and add a few details here. For example, with my Nuvo Shimmer pen, I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm also going to add a little bit of Nuvo glitter accents to the sky. And I'm going to take some Nuvo Crystal Glaze and add that to a few spots like the mountain tops and the little noses of the critters. And I will also use my white gel pen to add a few little white accents here and there on my card as well. So you'll just see me here adding all of those little bits and pieces of details. I feel like when I'm making a card, it's all of these little extra things that you can add when you've created your little scene that really make the details and that really fun and make your card a little bit more interesting. So I'm adding those little white spots to my little deer's back. Now I'm going on to my second card here. On my second card, I'm going to be using the Avriel Photo Matte die set. And this is just a really fun die set where you can do a lot of really cool things. I'm also going to use that little snowman stamp from Penny Black Christmas Bunch. And that little Santa, or snowman, sorry, is going to be in the little photograph that I'm going to be creating using this die set. So I'm going to just take and cut that little die out using some 80-pound cardstock again. And now you can see here I've made a little panel for the front of my card using some pattern paper. That's from the Lawn Fawn Really Rainbow Christmas 6x6 paper pad. And now I'm going to take all of those little pieces that were die cut from that Photomat die set, and I'm going to just kind of create my little scene. So it pieces them all into little portions. So I'm going to take the little sky portion, and I'm going to just use some of my Distress Oxide ink and tumbled glass and add that color to that piece. And then I'm going to stick that into the frame. And of course the clouds won't have any color on them at all, but the little trees part of the little scene, I'm going to use a little bit of evergreen bough, and then I'll also use a little bit of twisted citron in a little bit later over top of that evergreen bough. And I think I do that off camera. Now I'm going to take that little snowman from the Penny Black Christmas Bunch stamp set, and I'm going to stamp out my little snowman. I'm going to stamp him out onto some 80-pound cardstock as well, and I am going to color him off camera just using my Copic markers. There's so many different ways that you can color in these images, like I said, with your colored pencils, or if you have watercolors, you could use watercolors for this. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could use to color as these little images. So it doesn't obviously have to be Copics. Now you can see my little snowman is all done there. Now what I did was I took two of the other dies from the die set, and I created a couple of other little pieces from the patterned paper that you'll see me glue onto the bottom of the little photo frame in a minute here. I'm just going to glue all of these little pieces for the scene that are created with that die and glue those into the frame. Then I'm going to glue my little Santa, or actually I'm going to adhere him with, I keep saying Santa, it's a snowman, my little snowman with a little bit of dimensional adhesive. And then I'm going to take this little piece of pattern paper that I die cut with the little, kind of like the little bow and ribbon die, and add that on. And this little die is genius. It looks like a little bit of washi tape, and it looks like that little photo is washi taped to the front of the card. So that's cool. So there's two there, and I'm just showing you could add sentiments to a lot of different spots on these cards, including the washi tape on this one. Or the bottom of the other one. I mean, there's just a lot of different places where you could add your sentiments. I left them without sentiments just because I thought, well, you can just kind of use your imagination as to where you might want the sentiments to go. These could be birthday cards for a winter birthday. They could be Christmas cards. There's a lot of different occasions that you could give these for. And now I'm going on to my third card. So this is the Brutus Monroe glitter cardstock sampler pack, and it's a 6x6 sampler pack that has 18 different pieces of paper, which is awesome. And especially for us card makers, I think that we can really appreciate all of the different ways that you could use these different pieces of glitter cardstock. And I love that it includes 18 different colors. Now I'm going to use this pink Fresh Studio die, and this is, I think, called Fancy Floral 2 Background. And I just die cut that from that really pretty pink Brutus Monroe cardstock. And I'm actually going to create a shaker element here with this card. And so I'm just taking some of the Cherry Lane acetate, and you can see that sheet of acetate has that blue plastic covering on it. I just peeled that off. And now I'm adhering the Cherry Lane plastic acetate to the back of my glitter paper cutout here. I'm just going to glue that down with some liquid adhesive, and then I'll just take my scissors and cut out around the edge of that. And now that acetate piece is all ready to be part of a card front and a shaker element. Now, these pieces of foam adhesive here are genius for making a shaker card. These are the Darice foam adhesive strips, and they're just the perfect width for making your well for a shaker card. So what I'm going to do is adhere these strips to the edge of my acetate, and I will take off that release paper once I've got my all of the foam strips adhered here, and then I'm going to add the Studio Katia sequins, and these are the Shimmering Ice Fusion sequins, and those are going to be my shaker bits for my shaker card. So you can see I just have laid them on my card base, and then what I'll do is take off that release paper off those foam adhesive strips and just lay that over top of my card front, and then that will capture all of those little sequins. Now I'm going to use this really gorgeous Tim Holtz metallic paper to create a sentiment for the front of this card, and I used a Lawn Fawn die that says congrats on it. I mean, this card is so generic, you could use it for kind of almost anything. I feel it actually could even be a Valentine's card. And then what I did was I also cut that same sentiment out twice out of some 80-pound cardstock, and I'm going to glue these all together to create a really thick sentiment for the front of my card. I'm going to adhere that down, putting that, of course, that metallic silver paper on the top. Now, guys, these are 3 cards that I made. Obviously, they took me a little bit of time to make. You know, they have some detail to them, but they actually were totally worth it. I really enjoyed making these cards, and all of these supplies, or virtually everything here that I used, can be found over in the Scrapbook Nerd shop. And I'm just showing you here where you could add some sentiments to these cards. Thank you so much, guys, and I will be leaving a link to the Scrapbook Nerd shop in the description box below, so you can head over there and you can find the products that I've used today for my cards in the shop. Thank you so much, and I am so happy that you were able to see what I did here today. Bye-bye.